You can't ever get too comfortable. You can't ever think that you're crushing it, or that you've aced life and you've got it all figured out.
One of the things that I frequently hear from employers is that the skill set is just not there, that there are jobs out there. There's between 3 and 5 million open jobs at any given point in time, and that the skills don't exist to fill those jobs.
Absolutely right. So, I mean, this is what they call the skills gap. And what's happening is that the world is moving so fast that the skills that businesses need change very frequently. And the reality is that, if you went to school once in your life between the ages of 18 to 22 and then stopped, it is very unlikely that you're going to keep up with the skills that are required into your late 20s and early 30s and beyond. And the reality is that those liberal arts institutions that sort of make up our college system aren't really even set up to give people skills. They give people amazing critical thinking ability and perspective and help them become sort of broader and more deep thinkers. But that's not the same thing as knowing how to build a web application or deal with large data sets and run analyses on them.
So break it down for me, the 30-second General Assembly elevator pitch.
So General Assembly is a global education company. We're focused on helping people get the best jobs in the best industries for the 21st century and helping employers find talent that they desperately want and need. So we're filling a need on both sides. We help people through skills courses in web development, data science, digital marketing, but we also help companies both train their existing employees on how to become more digital in the 21st century.
What are the keys? What do employers want that they're not getting? What could a person study right now that would put them in the zone of exactly what employers want and a job that pays really well?
So, there are lots of skills that are in high demand right now. Pretty much everything we teach, because that's why we teach it. So web development and mobile development, there's still huge growth in the jobs there and lots of demand constantly and will probably be for a long time. Really even growing faster than that, and what's really become a big subject for us at GA is data analytics, data science, anything where you are learning how to work with data, generate insights from data, and then use that to sort of drive decision making in a company. And very few people in an organization typically have that ability. And to generate analyses off of that requires real skills around software and techniques that most people aren't taught in school. So that's what we do at General Assembly. Is we're always looking for what's in demand, what are companies looking for, and how can we give people the skills needed to get their foot in the door in that job.
Typical student now is graduating $37,000 in debt from college.
Okay, yeah, and that's on average. I think
on average.
I think we don't really position ourselves as a replacement for college. I think college serves a lot of needs in the ecosystem and for people.
You think there's value there?
I do, and I think there is a journey that colleges need to go on over the next probably 10 to 20 years about figuring out what is their true value proposition, how can they deliver that same value proposition at a more affordable cost to more people. These are all very important things, but in the moment we live in now, I'd be hard pressed to say people should not go to college. But where we really focus is on the graduate school piece, which often is hundreds of thousands of dollars of cost in both real cost and opportunity cost. And usually the people who are enrolling in graduate school are doing it because they have a career goal on the other end. Mm-hmm. However, a lot of graduate schools don't end up even helping that much on that path to the career. It becomes sort of a prerequisite without sort of that full bridge to the next part of the life.
As an entrepreneur, what skills were you missing when you founded the company?
I think the biggest thing about starting a company is just when you think you've got it under control, it gets to a different, and if you do well and it grows, you now have a whole new job with a whole new set of requirements that you're not prepared for. When you're small, you're worried all about just, do we have something here? Are people going to come? Do they like it? Are we going to survive tomorrow? And so there's a lot of survival skills around raising money and making sure you have enough cash and and hiring and firing your first, employees, and that was a big learning process. But as you get bigger, it's about how do we build the processes and the tools and the systems in place so that we are delivering like an amazing experience to every individual. How do I make sure that all of our employees are getting the training and development they need to grow in their positions? And how do we make sure that we don't lose the heart and the mission of what we're doing as we get bigger and go global in our scale? And I think the biggest thing as an entrepreneur is to be always open to the fact that what's going to happen next that I'm not prepared for.
How do you prepare for the unknown?
Well, I think you don't prepare for it by studying. You prepare for it by looking and being ready and maybe being a little bit paranoid about what's around the corner that you don't know about.
What does being ready look like in real practical terms?
Well, I think you can't ever get too comfortable. You can't ever think that you're crushing it. Or that you've aced life and you've got it all figured out, because
So you didn't do a champagne toast anywhere along the way?
No, and in fact, I think I see a lot of entrepreneurs sort of fall into that trap of hitting a few milestones and all of a sudden wanting to sort of sit back and celebrate and throw big parties and think that's sort of the life of an entrepreneur. That can be the life of an entrepreneur, but is typically not the life of a long-lived entrepreneur. The best entrepreneurs I know are always humble, always looking for what's next, and always trying to build the best organization they can. They're not looking for the next opportunity to celebrate.
What's been the most difficult lesson you've had to learn along the way?
The hardest thing about building an institution of this scale is how difficult it is to execute all of the ideas you have in your head immediately, and how long it takes for them to sort of start to play out. So, programs that I've been imagining in my head that I wanted to run 2 years ago, we're now launching, because as you get bigger and there's so much more process and care put into every product, which is really the right thing, it gets harder and harder to sort of have an idea and do it. But on the other hand, when you do get to the point of being able to actually do something, the scale and the impact is tremendous.
What's the worst advice you got along the way? I'm sure you got a lot of bad advice, but I want to know what the worst advice was.
What was the worst advice? I mean, probably early on, people told me, there's no way you can do this. You're going to need to partner with a larger university. Without a university, no one is going to take the kind of education you do seriously. There was a lot of skepticism about the model when we started out. So I think, when you're going to do something new, you have to be willing to both listen to everybody and then ignore everybody at the same time. And that's one of the hardest things about, when you're starting something.
You never know if what you're ignoring is the right stuff to ignore.
This is the world I live in every day. I'm a big data guy. I like to make decisions based on data. I think that's how we decide what courses to do and what curriculums are working.
If you could go back and do one thing differently along the path, what would it be?
Being an entrepreneur, there's so many things, and the secret is you can't really look back. But I'm really thinking a lot about what we have ahead of ourselves. I like to spend my time thinking about that because, mistakes are useful for learning, but, if I spend too much time on that, I might get stuck there.